Let's go to Washington, D.C., check in with ABC News political analyst who is very busy these days. Good morning, Trey Hardin.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. Break down this hearing for us yesterday with Sally Yates and Michael Flynn, because the fake news is fast and furious, and I'm sort of lost in all this. Where are we?
Well, we didn't learn anything new yesterday. I mean, if anything, we just got to hear directly from the people involved, but about things that we already knew. We already knew that Sally Yates went to the White House to warn them about General Flynn. We knew that Clapper, the head of the DNI, was involved in the investigation to look into any potential collusion with Russia. So these are things we already knew. I think what was interesting was to see the senators from both sides, their approach, what they were specifically interested in. There's clearly some Republican senators that still have an issue and a concern, and rightly so in my opinion, of the nature of the relationship with some close to Trump and with Vladimir Putin. So it was news from that standpoint, but it was old news, and it was just entertaining because we were hearing from the players involved.
One of the things that came out yesterday, I don't know if we learned it through the hearings, but it was reported that when President-elect Trump met with then President Obama right after the election, Obama warned him about Michael Flynn and said, hey, be careful with this guy. We've got some intel on him. And Donald Trump, I guess, rejected that advice and hired him anyway for the NSA?
Well, let's face it. I mean, I think Trump probably didn't even listen to it. It probably went in one ear and out the other. I mean, if you think about that moment, that was the day after I guess 2 days after he had won. If you looked at him in that White House when he was there with President Obama, he looked like he was in shock. I mean, he couldn't believe he had won. Frankly, and many people believe, and I'm one of them, that he didn't necessarily want to win. So he's sitting there in his new office, his potential new office, right, with the current president of the United States, thinking, what just happened? So I don't even know if he probably gave it too much attention. It's unfortunate because he should have, obviously, but it's also goes to the fact that obviously Trump he's never going to be told what to do. It's hard for him to take advice from people like that or on subjects like that when it has to do with people. He thinks he's a great judge of talent. Obviously, I think his judgment on many things can be questioned and is dubious at best. But, listen, I mean, this is something that's going to hang around with the president for a while, I think. It is. I'm certainly not prepared to say that Donald Trump was aware of conversations during the campaign between his aides and Russia. But what I am here to say is that based on my knowledge of those people and the fact that I know those folks and have had some unfortunate dealings with them in the past, there is no doubt in my mind that there were conversations going on between the Trump campaign officials and Russian officials during the campaign.
The White House is saying, hey, if we shouldn't have hired him, why did you re-up his secret clearance code and all of those things? So if we shouldn't have hired him, you guys were the one giving him special access.
It's you see, but it's all that's where what's being lost in that, and I'm not one to defend President Obama or his people, but it's all timing. What General Flynn was not necessarily a problem until he started having conversations with the Russians after the election about the sanctions issue. And I think that is what concerned and what caught a red flag with the Obama administration. Sure, they had known that he had gone over there for speeches or that he had gone to Turkey for speeches. Listen, I mean, there are a lot of characters in this town in Washington that are representing some really, really questionable governments and corporations overseas. All you got to do is pull up the public records here. It gets talked about regularly, but it really wasn't until they had caught from their wiretapping conversations he was having that were inappropriate conversations to be having. That is what it was. So that's something that's not being discussed enough. And so, frankly, I think the Obama folks actually, were basing it off of accurate information.
May 9th, 6:25 Central Time. Trey Hardin defending the Obama administration. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew what was going on.
We are in an alternate universe.
Trey, have a good week. Thanks for checking in.
Guys. Bye-bye.
All right, 6:25.
I can't believe those words came out of his mouth.
6:25, Big 550, KTRS.